use what language you will. You can never say anything but what you are. Later on in the book is when it gets like juicy about friendships and all. By getting, or by, wait, brain fart. I needed this. Thank God I found the book. Yeah, that's how you do it. I feel like that's me too, because you can never know enough. You can always learn something from somebody if you choose to look for that. So today I want to talk about a current topic. It's about friendships, right? We're experiencing, at least in the United States, we're experiencing a little bit of a friendship crisis, community crisis, a loneliness epidemic. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it, see if I could help open people's eyes, because I've been lost also. So I really appreciate anything that's ever helped me, and that's what I want to do for you guys. And you might be wondering, like, how I thought about making this video, why I'm making this video, like besides the reasons why I just gave you. And it's because near my house, there was this library, it just closed down, but they have this place where you give a book and you take a book. And I got this book, and I'm so happy to talk about it together. To be honest, when I first read the title, it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I was like, I don't know, like the friends part, I don't really care about influencing people or whatever, but the friends part, I guess. And I got the book, I started reading it, and I do not regret it. If you're planning on reading a book about similar topics as friendships, etc., I recommend this book. It's really good, and I'm only halfway through, and I'm gonna discuss it. So just a little tip before I start talking about what the book is about, a few things it teaches. At least the first two parts of the book is what I'm gonna cover today. One thing I learned is that friendships are an active pursuit. It's not a passive thing. And for some people that might be like, yeah, duh. But for others, like for example, for me, my friendships have always been passive. Like I'll go places, I'll meet people. I'm introverted, so I keep to myself a little bit, and whoever comes up to me, I'll talk to them. But I've never really been like active about it. And this helped me put things into perspective and see things differently. That's what I want to share. So my cat decided to join us. She's cuddling me. I love when they're clingy. So cute. Let me see if I could get you guys to listen to her purring, because she's so adorable. She bit it. Oh my god, no. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about the first two parts of the book. The book is divided in 4 parts, and today we're gonna discuss the first 2. The first part are the basic fundamentals, techniques of dealing with people. The second part is how to make people like you. The first chapter of part 1, it's talking about, what is it? If you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. What it means is you probably get things better if you're not like aggressive, if you are like nice, like you could talk your way out of things probably, yeah. I talk my way out of things a lot. So I love how the first chapter starts. It already starts off strong, okay? They give you it's beautifully written example, a real life example of how it is that people perceive themselves. When people do something that's wrong or commit a crime, they always say, I did it for X, Y, and Z. I'm a good guy. I did it because of this reason, but it's not from a self-reflection, like maybe I need to change my way of thinking or my attitude. People are always going to assume that they're the good person in the situation and that the other person is to blame. That's typically the response that people have. So this is a really good starting point, a good analogy, because it's going to lead to the conclusion that criticism is harmful. And it's going to give you a lot more examples in the book about this. And when people experience criticism, they immediately go to defend themselves. And something else they expand upon is, if you really want somebody to improve the way that they are, instead of condemning or criticizing, try talking good about their strengths. Be encouraging. Be like positive. And positive, it makes people want to like be their best selves, basically. My favorite quote in this chapter is, "I will speak ill of no man and speak all the good I know of everybody. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. A great man shows his greatness by the way he treats little men." Instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Let's try to figure out why they do what they do. That's a lot more profitable and intriguing than criticizing them, because it breeds sympathy, tolerance, and kind them. To know all is to forgive all. What that last phrase, "to know all is to forgive all," is basically saying, like, when you've been there, you know what it's like. Like, if you understand somebody, if you understand where someone is coming from, how can you truly be angry at them? And I resonate with that. The second chapter is still in part 1. Second chapter, the big secret of dealing with people. I will let y'all take a little guess. What's something that everybody wants, or everybody has a desire to feel important? Since I believe that is already self-explanatory, I'm not really going to go into much depth. But I do think that reading the book, it has like specific examples that maybe by me telling you, it wouldn't be the same as you reading it and you grasping it by yourself. It's like you read it and you have that aha moment that you wouldn't get even though I'm explaining, you know? And now to my favorite quotes. It's, "The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated." He didn't say the wish or the desire or the longing to be appreciated. He said the craving to be appreciated. That's how deep, that's how passionate it is. Something that's beautiful that I forgot, because I've been reading and I said, no, I'm going to make this video before I forget everything. And I've been slowly forgetting. So I absolutely love the story. It says here, he is talking to a psychiatrist. Nobody knows for sure how people become insane, really. But, well, at this time period. He was saying that a lot of patients he's noticed, they get a feeling of importance from their imagined world compared to reality. The story of one lady who had an unfortunate marriage. She was very sad, very unhappy with her life. Her husband didn't love her, didn't want her, they didn't have children, and she really wanted children. So in her mind, to live a good life, she escaped from reality, basically. And she insisted on that. She had been divorced from her husband, she had a child every night, and she was living in an aristocracy, right? So she was living her best life, basically, but it was all in her head. And one might assume that it's very sad, like, oh my gosh, she's not living in reality. But homegirl is living her best life. So, like, really, kind of sad, yes. But at the same time, would you step in and tell her that it's all a lie? Everything that makes her feel good, everything that makes her feel like her life is worth living, would you step in and be the destroyer of her life? That's the question. Because in the life that she's living at the moment, she feels like she's important, like she's living good. So the doctors, they don't tell her no. They go along with it. And she's like calm and stable that way. This is a very important part, of course. People like to feel important. They like to feel like they matter, but they don't like superficial flattery. They don't like things that feel insincere or shallow, and you can feel it. You can vibe it. You can, you know? Okay, now onto the quotes that I enjoy. Use what language you will. You can never say anything but what you are. It's called projection. Hurting people not only does not change them, it is never called for. That is true. Okay, I'm gonna read this little line that I put a little heart on, so I love. Let me see. There is an old saying that I have cut out and pasted on my mirror where I cannot help but see it every day. I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Yeah, YOLO, basically. Every man I meet is my superior in some way, in that I learned of him. And I feel like that's me. I like this part, so I highlighted it. I feel like that's me too, because you can never know enough. You can always learn something from somebody if you choose to look for that. Okay, now this book is also about influencing people. In my opinion, a lot of the things they have here is not necessarily about friendship and cutesy stuff, but about like business. I don't know. So you also have parts like this. Chapter 3, who is about arousing interest in other people. And what does that mean? For example, if your child is giving you a hard time and they don't want to go to school, and they're going kindergarten and they're like, no, I don't want to go to school. They have an example of where the family, they start doing finger painting and coloring and doing a bunch of fun stuff. And they're like, no, you can't be invited. The little kid really wants to go. He's like, yeah, you want to play, you want to play. They're like, no, you don't want to do this. This is kindergarten stuff. You can't do this. And the little kid is like, oh, no, I do want to go to kindergarten. I do. And they let him join. And the next day, he's super happy to go to kindergarten. Never complains again, okay? And basically, the moral of the story is we are all interested in what we want. So if you want to influence somebody, you can do that. I encourage to be a good person, because you can make the world a better place and it creates a domino effect and yada yada. So if you're ever negotiating, making a deal with somebody, making money, look for what the person might desire. And then you get his interest that way. You arouse his interest by getting, brain fart. If you ever need to negotiate for whatever reason, trying to get that money, that bag, how do you go about it, okay? First of all, you explain to the other party how it can benefit them. That's how you do it. They're like, no, not how you benefit, how they benefit. And then they're like, what do you gain? No, it's a win-win situation. And that's how you do it. Okay, so we're gonna start part 2 right now. Oy, baby. I'm gonna start part 2. And it has like 3 or 4 chapters in it. Okay. Part 2 is about how to make people like you. The first part is to make people feel important. It seems like we already talked about it, but it talks slightly different about it. And when you greet somebody, greet them with enthusiasm and joy and happiness. And they're like, wow, yeah, it's super yesy. Oh my gosh, she always says hi to me. People like it when you're genuinely interested in them. And that's how they become genuinely interested in you. This is a simple way to make a good first impression. Smile. It's good vibes, baby. Good vibes. Basically, that's what it says. Also, be mindful of your thoughts, okay? You don't want to be thinking, oh, like, let me not say hi to them because they don't like me or whatever. Or I don't know if they like me. But if you come from your thoughts, if you make sure that you think, no, why wouldn't they like me? Why wouldn't they like me? It makes no sense for them not to like me. You're going to see, like, you're going to prove to yourself that they like you. and that you have a good time with them and that you can have a good time no matter what, because your thoughts influence your happiness. Okay. And my favorite quote from this chapter is, "A man without a smiling face must not open a shop." And in addition to all of that, this is another chapter, is to remember people's names, because it adds on to what we were just talking about. It makes people feel important. It's like wow, okay, they remembered me in my first meeting. They already know my name. They remember a little bit. So it gives examples on like how it's good, how it benefits, going the extra mile to remember what people like, what people enjoy. It makes them also feel important, and it makes them remember you as well. My favorite quote is at the very end of the book, where he talks about the principle. It says, "Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language." Okay, and the last chapter of this part is an easy way to become a good conversationalist. I needed this. Thank God I found the book, because I don't like talking about myself. And I'm like, okay, if I don't like talking about myself, I'm not crossing that line with other people. But what it says here is people enjoy talking about themselves. That to me was like a... And what I'm good at is being a good listener. So I'm like, wow, that's good. It mentions, as long as you encourage others to talk about themselves, like it's basically knowing to keep a conversation going. Like you ask about them, how's this going? Oh yeah, tell me more about this. Tell me, how's it going? But I personally, that's a line I thought I would be like stepping on people's boundaries. And like if people wanted to know that about me, I would feel like very uncomfortable. But I'm just me, you know what I mean? So everybody's different. And hey, it's been working so far, so... Okay, I lied. That wasn't the last chapter. I was way off. There's 6 chapters in part 2. So it's because I've just been reading and reading and reading. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make a video in the different parts. And I'm like, no. Because I also want to read a different book. So it's like, come on, catch up. Chapter 5, is it? Chapter 5 in part 2 is about how to interest people in conversations. Get them talking about their personal interests, what they enjoy. And it pays for both parties, because you get to know them better. They get to talk about themselves. They feel like, wow, like it was interesting to talk to them. And now, on to the last chapter of this part, for real. Chapter 6. This part is about how to make people instantly like you. And it goes over a little bit of different religious teachings from Zoroaster, Persian, Confucius preachings, Taoism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism. But basically, it's the phrase, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Like, wish well unto others because you would want wellness unto you. It's like a golden rule. It's about respect, basically. And one of my favorite quotes in this chapter is, you don't have to wait until you're ambassador to France or chairman of some committee before you can use this philosophy of appreciation. You can use it in your everyday life and see how everything benefits. How your relationships improve. It creates like the opposite of animosity, right? It creates just good feelings, good vibes, because why not? YOLO. This chapter is expanding upon the principle to make others feel important. It's saying, do it sincerely, do it from your heart. How would you want to be treated? So, in my opinion, those would be the fundamentals in establishing a connection with other people, establishing friendships, establishing whatever bonds you want. Later on in the book is when it gets like juicy about friendships and all. Basically, you gotta be proactive. Yeah, it's not a passive thing. And you got this, babes. Have fun, love